everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name's Em, and for today's video I am going to be talking you through the 8 books that I read in May. If you saw one of my, I think it was my last video, I did a TBR prompt jar for the first time and I took out 5 picks and I did manage to get through all of those books this month, so I'm very happy with that and it actually worked really well for me. The first book that I read in May was Mistakes Were Made by Meryl Wisner. So this book is a sapphic romance between our main character Cassie, who is a college student and meets a lady called Erin in a bar who turns out to be one of her friend's mums. So it is a bit of an age gap romance. They have sort of a secret relationship where they're sneaking around and they're trying to keep it as casual as possible, but they realise that's not going to work. So I did really enjoy this book. It wasn't one of my favourite sapphic romances that I've read, so I did give it 3 stars, but I still would recommend reading it. The second book that I read in May was The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I had been wanting to read this for a really long time. The concept really grasps me in. So I'm glad that I finally got to pick this one up. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I thought it was a really good thriller. This book follows a caregiver called Kit who is assigned a job at a manor house in the middle of nowhere on the edge of a cliff. The lady that Kit has been assigned to look after is Lenora Hope, who is accused of mass murder of her family, and she's not left this house since. Kit brings in a typewriter and Lenora starts to write down her story. So it follows as we kind of unravel a sort of truth, but then there is a massive twist in the book that just flips everything upside down. And honestly, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was a really good thriller. And then finally I got to read Funny Story by Emily Henry. I had been waiting to read this book for a long time. I've been waiting for the paperback to come out. I just can't stand hardbacks. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. It was a 5-star read for me. I really enjoyed this book. So this book follows Daphne and Miles, who were both in relationships with other people, and then their significant others ended up getting together. So Daphne and Miles decide to fake date to get back at their exes, and everything just leads on from there. And honestly, this was such a good romance. I really enjoyed this book and I really loved the romance developing in this book. So this was definitely a 5-star read for me. Emily Henry for me is a sort of hit or miss sometimes. The 4th book that I read in May was actually an ARC, and that was The Break-In by Katherine Faulkner. So this is a kind of crime thriller that comes out, I believe it's in June, but then Goodreads also says August, so I'm not actually 100% sure of the release date. I will find out and put it on the screen. I ended up giving this one a 3.75 stars. I really did enjoy this book and I think the premise is really interesting. The book follows our main character Alice, who lives in a really lovely house with her partner and her child. And Alice was having a play date at her house when a complete stranger broke into her house and Alice ends up killing him. We then follow Alice as she goes and sort of finds out the truth of why this guy was in her house to begin with, and it's twisty and turny and I really enjoyed this book. I would definitely recommend giving this one a read if you're into crime thrillers when it comes out, so I definitely recommend picking this one up. The next book that I read in May was Home Run Proposal by Maren Moore. This book I absolutely loved. I was really debating on what rating I should give it. I ended up giving it a 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. It was one of those ones where when I had to stop reading, I was just thinking about the next time that I'm able to pick it up again. It follows our main character Lane, who has never had any sort of romantic interaction, has never had a first kiss, all of that kind of stuff. She writes a proposal which is meant to go to her best friend, and the proposal is basically to help her experience all of the romantic things, except she doesn't end up giving it to her best friend. She ends up giving it to her best friend's brother. And let's just say these two, you need to read this. Honestly, it's so good. The romance, just the build up to the romance, everything in between this book is so good, and I'm so glad that I picked it up. I really haven't heard anything about this on like BookTok or anything. I just happened to see it in a random like book haul on YouTube, so I'm really glad that I came across this. So I definitely recommend giving this one a read. I'm pretty sure there are a couple more books in the series, so I might end up giving those a read as well, but this one was really good, and it's also sort of a sports romance as well, so always a plus. But yeah, I gave this one a 4.5 stars and I really enjoyed it. The next one that I picked up was The Tenant by Freida McFadden. If you don't know, I absolutely love Freida McFadden. She's one of my favourite like thriller authors. I just find her writing so easy to get into and like gripping. So I really do love a Freida McFadden book. So this is one of her new ones. It came out very recently. I ended up giving this one a 3 stars. It wasn't my favourite Freida book that I've read, but I still enjoyed it. This book follows our main character Blake, who has it all really. He's just been promoted. He has a lovely little place with his fiancée Krista until he loses his job and they have to bring in a tenant to cover the mortgage payments, or help them cover the mortgage payments while Blake looks for a new job. Enter Whitney. Things start happening and it gets messy. The plot twist was really good. So I do really enjoy this book. I gave it a 3 stars just because it wasn't like, it just wasn't Freida's best book. So I really still enjoyed it. Definitely would recommend giving it a read. And then we have Rewind It Back by Liz Tomforde. This is the final book in the Windy City series, and oh my god, was it a good one. I gave this one 5 stars. I absolutely love this series and I'm just so sad that it is over. Honestly, this book made me so emotional in many different places. I'm not usually a massive childhood lovers. This book, however, was so good. So this book follows Rio, who we all have been waiting to see Rio's story, let's be real. So very happy that we finally got it. But this follows Rio and Hallie, who were childhood friends who developed into childhood sweethearts, and then things happen in both of their lives that mean they kind of go their separate ways and things aren't great. They don't speak for 6 years. Rio and Hallie then reconnect 6 years later when Hallie ends up with a job designing and decorating Rio's house. It's just a really lovely story of seeing them reconnect and find that love that they hadn't lost for each other, but it's a really lovely story. And the end of the book, when we have like everyone together, it's just one of my favourite found families in this series and I just love it, and I'm really upset that it's over. So yeah, this is definitely a 5-star read for me. So definitely read the Windy City series if you haven't already, because it's just so good. And the very final book that I read in May, I honestly did not expect to love this book as much as I did, and that was The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. I was unaware that this was the second in the series, so I haven't read the first one, but I don't think it really matters. I wasn't lost at all. Ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. I was really debating whether I wanted to do 5 stars or not, but I thought I'll stick with 4.5. This book follows our main characters Hallie and Jack, who are both looking for love on a dating app. They basically act as each other's wing person when they're going on these dates. They place a wager on who can find love first. And then they agree that they are going to be each other's fake dates for Hallie's sister's wedding. They have to act as if they are really together, and feelings are had, and it's such a good book, to be honest, and I highly recommend, if you haven't read it yet, you should, because I really had a great time reading it, honestly. I gave it 4.5 stars and it was a great way to end the month. Those are the 8 books that I read in May, and I'm really happy I had quite a good few reads this month. Let me know which books you read this month and how you enjoyed them, and if you had any recommendations. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!